Yeah, my nose clean. Teeth too. Good. Excuse me. I, Adam LeBeau, do solemnly swear that everything that I'm about to say on this video is my sworn testimony that this is what I believe and this is what happened in my perspective, from my perspective. Anyway, you know, they say that we don't know when our time is gonna come. No man knows the day or the hour. You know what I'm saying? I could live to be 100 years old, or I can die tomorrow, or today, for that matter. This matter here is something that I've been holding inside for a lot of years, and talking to several different people. Not only that, but I just think it's time that I tell my side of the story. Not that it's gonna change anything. Not that I'm trying to defraud or defame anyone's character or attack anyone's character. People do things for their own reasons. Everybody have their own reasons for doing what they do. Everybody have their own perspective of things. But anyway, that's why I'm gonna tell my perspective of it, in hopes that one day my children will see this, and maybe it'll give them some insight or let them know. It won't take away any of the pain, and it won't lessen the fact that I wasn't there and all of that different type of stuff. But again, my name is Adam LeBeau. Born 1963, October 15, 1963. I'm living right now. I'm currently living in Stone Mountain, Georgia. From New Orleans, Louisiana, and so basically, I'm saying I know who I am and where I am and what I'm saying. I'm in my right frame of mind. I'm not crying about it. I'm not whining about it. But I just think it's time that I just tell my side of the story. You know, I've always wanted to know where I come from and the people that came before me. But back in the day, the elders used to just say, you know, let sleeping dogs lie, don't ask questions, leave it alone. And that's because there were so many secrets back then. But I wasn't really interested in the secrets. I don't care about the secrets. I know that things happen. I know that life happens. I know that all kind of stuff happens. But every time I would go digging or asking questions, they would always say the same thing. Either they didn't know, or they would change the subject, or let sleeping dogs lie, or whatever the case may be. But anyway, that's why I said I wanted to do this video in hopes that my children will see it one day, and maybe their children, and just whoever it may be important to, so that I don't take this stuff with me to the grave, which I said I would do, because I didn't want anyone to feel like I was coming after them or coming for them or talking about their mothers or whatever. But anyway, again, this is just from my perspective, and 100% I take responsibility for my side of it as well, because I do believe, now that I think back on it, that there could have been a lot more things that I should have done, but I didn't. So I take responsibility for that as well. So I'm not just pointing the finger and not looking back at myself. Anyway, I'm gonna get into it. I have 5 children: Sierra, Corniche, Avery, Adam, and Allison. Adam and Allison are my last 2 children. I was there with them from the beginning until their mother and I split up. We got divorced, whatever. But they were almost grown at the time anyway. And even with them, I know I kind of let them down a little, because I was never really diagnosed clinically depressed, but I've gone through a lot of depression in my life. And a lot of times when I was there with them, you know, even though I was there, I wasn't there, because again, like I said, I was depressed, and that's not an excuse. I'm not using that as an excuse either. But we all have issues, and that was mine at the time. And so, again, like I say, as far as that's concerned, I feel like I could have done more. I could have, spent more time with them. I was there with them, but I didn't do the things that parents do. Teaching them certain things, taking them to the library, helping them in school, and taking them for ball practice and all that different type of stuff. I missed all of that because of whatever I was going through, and that's not an excuse again. But anyway, as far as Avery is concerned, that's my middle child. I dated her mother for a while, and we had Avery. And the deal with that was, I know now, and I knew then, I knew a long time ago that she was my child, and I love her, and I loved her then. I've always loved her, but that was kind of rocky in the beginning, because when I dated her mother, I didn't know she was married, so I didn't find out that she was married until I was looking for her at the hospital, and her mother had to tell me that I was looking for the wrong person under the wrong name. And that went all kind of different ways, and Avery ended up with her husband's last name and all that. It was a mess. It was a mess. And then, throughout the time, it was a lot of stuff going on. But anyway, the DNA tests were done and all of that type of stuff, and it happened to be, and I was happy that it was, because I had accepted her when I found out anyway. But it was just a whole lot of, that's another story for another day. But like I said, I don't want to attack anyone's character, but we were all young and things happened and whatever, we're all grown now, and we don't see each other often, but when we do, we can be cordial and all of that different type of stuff. But the main two children are Sierra and Carniche. The deal with that was I actually just I just reunited with them some years back, and they were already past they were teenagers then. And they say that they forgive me for not being there because I've apologized, which I know that don't mean anything. It doesn't bring back, all of those things that I missed and the things that I should have done as a man to try to be there for them and different type of stuff like that. But one thing that caught me, and I've always, throughout the years, I've always had anxieties and depression and all kind of stuff about that, because growing up I always had my mother and father until my father passed. My dad died when I was 18 years old, but he was always like my best friend. And I always said that I wanted to do the same thing. I didn't want to have kids spread it out by different people. I wanted to have my kids by the same person, be there for them and all, the perfect family, which nobody and nothing's perfect, but back then that's what I saw as the perfect family. But anyway, that happened, and so that was pretty hard on me too, and like I said, it's not a woe is me party. It's not that I want somebody to understand me or to give me a hug or tell me it's okay, because the children suffer way more than I could ever suffer. And I've gone through my issues with it, and I still do. But like I said, one thing that kind of not struck a nerve, but it kind of rang a bell. And I'm like, well, people tell their facts from what their perspectives are, where they see it from. And and every time I would apologize, or every time I would talk to them and tell them I love them or something like that, and they said that we understand you weren't ready, and that really wasn't the truth. I mean, from my perspective, that was the furthest thing from the truth, because my other three children, I was there for them, you know. And Avery didn't live with me, but she came on summers and weekends and different type of stuff like that. And it wasn't all the time, you know. And I would get into it with her mother, because there was times where I didn't work all the time, and I was doing the music thing, and I didn't have a whole lot of money. So every time she would ask me to help with something and I didn't have it, she would always call me what would she call? She would call me a loser all the time. But anyway, that's another story too. But so in a lot of areas, in a lot of ways, probably more so mentally and stuff like that, I wasn't there for them. But like I said, I was there. They knew who I was, and I was there, and I, you know, had my moments with them and different stuff like that. I missed out on a lot. I was there and still missed out on a lot. But anyway, back to Sierra and Corniche, and they would always tell me that we understand that you weren't ready, and that's not the truth, that I wasn't ready. That the decision that took them away was their mother's decision, and maybe she felt like I wasn't ready, or maybe she felt like I wasn't ready the way she wanted me to be ready. But what actually happened was, when I think Sierra was like 2 and maybe Niche was a few months old or something like that, she actually sent them away to her mother, which was their grandmother, and you know, that was kind of the last time I talked to her, their mother. That was kind of the last time I talked to her, because I blew up. We had an argument, and I blew up, and it was like, how can you do this? You know what I'm saying? You're not even giving me a chance to be there. You're not even giving, you know, just because it's not your way. And granted, a lot of it was from anger. A lot of it was from hurt. And at the time, I think maybe she was trying to hurt me or make me feel the way she was feeling. Maybe she was feeling hurt, and she wanted me to feel the same thing. And it actually worked, because it messed me up for a lot of years, and I'm still dealing with it, and I'm in my 50s now, you know. And this happened 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you know, almost 30, about 20 something years ago. Between 20 something. Anyway, so it's like I went off. I can remember like it was yesterday, you know. And again, these are my facts. These are my perspective. These are the way I saw it and the way I still see it in my head. But at the time, I was living with my sister, and I was talking to her on the phone, my children's mother. And I'm not going to use names. I just want to say this. But anyway, I was talking to her on the phone, and she was just telling me that, you know, I was stubborn, and I was this, that, and the other, and I could have been. But at the same time, that didn't have anything to do with them. And the key phrase that I keep hearing over and over again is that, you don't love me, you can't love them. How you gonna love them if you don't love me? That's not the truth, though. That's a part of me. How can I not love something that's a part of me? But anyway, I feel like that was taken away from me, but I also feel like now, looking at it in retrospect, that there was a lot of things that I could have done. I could have tried to go through the court system. I could have, but at the time I was so angry and so hurt and so whatever. And no buts, because like I said, it was my mistake, my fault, just as bad as I held her responsible. I was just as much responsible, and I feel like I could have done much more. But my point is that that's not the truth, that I wasn't ready. The truth is that she sent him away from me. And for whatever her reasons for, she could have been doing it to, she could have felt like she was protecting him. Or she could have been feeling like, you know, I wasn't ready, or I couldn't be a father, or I didn't have enough love in me, or whatever the case might be. That's why I say I'm not trying to attack her character, but I just want to put it out there and let it be known that it wasn't that I wasn't ready. It wasn't at all that I wasn't ready, you know. And now they've gone on. They had a real father who, I was the biological father, but I wasn't there. There was a man that, you know, they called dad and father and all of that. He taught them how to ride. You know, he did what fathers are supposed to do, and I commend him for that. But I still feel like, had I done what I was supposed to as a man, that should have been me. That was my job to do. And that was, you know, that was taken away from me. But not only that it was taken away from me, but as a man, I slacked myself. I fell off. I shouldn't have just let it go because I don't want to deal with her. I'm pissed off, or she too stubborn, or she ain't trying to hear what I'm saying, you know. And you know, and like I said, it was crazy, because the reason I had the conversation with her was because I was trying to figure out where they were and what was going on. And you know, I asked the sister, well, can you give me the address to where they are, or the phone number or something? And then she said, well, I don't know, let me call you back. And next thing I know, I get a call from her, and it just blew all the way up. But like I said, I just need to get that out. It wasn't that I wasn't ready. Yes, I did fail as a father. Yes, I did fail as a man. No, I didn't do everything that I should have and could have. And it's no excuses for it. But it needs to be known that it wasn't because I wasn't ready. And it wasn't because I didn't love my children. I love my children with everything in me. But like I said, at the time, whatever the situation was, whether it was anger, it was a little bit of everything, you know, and it just went left, you know. And all through them years, you know, if anybody knew me, anybody who knew me, they could tell you that, you know, my children were conversation pieces. They were, you know, even though I talked about how it was done to me and I was upset about that, I always talked to them. And people used to tell me all the time, you know, Adam, I had a friend. He was a real good friend of mine in L.A. And he said he grew up without his father. But come to find out later on in life, his father used to send letters and money and all of these different things. But his mother used to send him back, or, you know, put him away like he was nowhere around. And he would always say, man, you know, one day those children are going to look for you because they're going to want to know what happened. And I prayed on that. I on everything I love, I prayed, Lord, please reveal to these children that I didn't just leave them, that it wasn't that I didn't want them, that it wasn't that I didn't love them, or I didn't want them, or I wasn't ready, or I didn't want to be by. And I prayed. That was my prayer for a lot of years. On everything I loved, that was my prayer for a lot of years. And people used to always say it because they knew it was a soft spot for me. It was a hurt area for me because I couldn't really talk about it a lot without getting emotional, you know. And especially my ex-wife, she knew. My children sometimes, I think they knew because I would talk about the girls to them and different things like that. And my middle children's mother, she knew because it was all kind of issues. That's why right now I don't have no room at all in my life for no kind of drama. I went through some serious drama. But it's not about me. It's about what's going on or what went on with these children. And again, I take full responsibility for my side of it because for a lot of years I didn't realize that I'm just as much at fault as she was, you know. Okay, yes, she sent him away, but at the same time, what did you do, bro? You didn't call the police. You didn't, you know what I'm saying? You didn't go to the courts. You didn't do this, or you could have done that. That was around the time where computer searches and all of that, they weren't as strong as they are now, but that was around the time where I could have done more, basically. And out of anger and out of whatever I was letting drive me at the time, I didn't. So again, I take full responsibility. I'm not just pointing the finger and not taking my part of it. But like I said, I just wanted to get that out there. I wanted to let that be known, you know. And excuse me, we were at work a couple days ago, and we were talking about how people don't believe in doing wills, and people don't believe in you know, making wills and talking about death and talking about the past and talk, you know, and I've been wanting to do this and thinking about doing this for a while, but because I'm so private and because I don't want to just seem like it's a woe is me, or I'm so this, I'm so hurt, it's all about, it's not just that, and because, you know, I don't want to, because I've always said, I've had conversations with my mother, with my ex-wife, with my wife now, with people that I know. And they ask me, well, why don't you tell the girls? And I've always said it's because it's not for me to tell them that, because I don't want them to feel like I'm, you know, trying to tear their mother's character down. It's not even about that, you know. But I also want them to know that I love them and that it's not just some words when I'm telling it to them, you know. But at the same time, you know, their mother is their world. That's who, my mother is my world. Nobody could tell me nothing bad about my mom. You know what I'm saying? That's not to say she hasn't done anything bad, or that's not to say she won't. But that's their mother, and that was my whole point. But at this point in my life, like they say, you know, no man knows the day or the hour. I don't know if I'm going to live to be 100. I don't know if I'm going to die today or tomorrow. But at the same time, I'm doing this video in hopes that I know my children have questions. I know they have a lot of questions. But I'm doing it in hopes that one day they'll be able to see this. And they'll be able to really, you know, that God will reveal to them that it really wasn't what it was, you know. And I've always thought, yeah, they probably telling them all kind of bad shit about me, but it's not even so much that. They probably didn't. They just told him I wasn't ready. And she just told him probably what she believed, that I wasn't ready. But that wasn't the truth. She didn't give me the chance to prove that I wasn't ready. And I believe the reason she didn't is because, like she said, if you don't love me, how you going to love them? But you can't do that. You can't put those two together. We two grown people. You can't put those. That's a part of me. That's children that's from me. That comes from me. But anyway, again, I accept full responsibility for my part. But it wasn't that I wasn't ready. It wasn't that I didn't love you guys. It wasn't that I just was trying to do me. It wasn't that. Because as a matter of fact, around that same time, I believe, yeah, Avery was born around that time. You know, and actually, Adam had just been born, and so that was my second to last. That's my son. He had just been born, and because I remember the conversation when she called me, and she was calling me. She said, "I wanted to tell you congratulations on your son." And then we went into that whole conversation about you'll never see them again. I'm sending them to my mother. And I knew her mother was from Alabama somewhere, but I didn't, you know, because we had went through some other stuff before that, where when Sierra was a baby, well, before Sierra was born, I think it was about five months into the pregnancy, she had supposedly left town. You know, and come to find out later, she told me herself that she wasn't going. I would get phone calls, but at the time I didn't, you know, with nobody talking or just, you know, whatever. But the point was that she had supposed to been gone, because at the time she thought, oh well, you're not ready because you this and you that, the other, whatever, you know. And like I said, it was some whole kind of drama then. But even then, when she came back and she called me, or when she said she came back, which, like I said again, later on she admitted to her never even leaving. But when she had the baby and she called me, she gave me the choice to come and see her. I ran to see her. And at the time, I was dating my middle child's mother. But I told her, you know what? My baby was born. I feel like I need to be there for her. You know what I'm saying? I want to be there for her. You know, so I'm going to have to cut this short. And that was messed up on her end. Because how you going to do that to me? Just because she come back and whatever, whoop-de-whoop, you can't stay together for no baby. I'm not staying together for no baby. I want to be with my child. And that's what that was to me. And so she was upset, of course. But I told her, let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get back together. Let's do it. You know. And that was the most, as much love as I had for my dad and my mother. And my dad was my world. I love my mother to the end of the earth, but my dad was my world. As much love as I had for that man, I never felt love like I felt when I saw that child of mine. And you know, and so with that being said, right after we got back together, basically almost not long after that, she was pregnant again. And again, that was my fault too, because I'm grown. I know if you don't use contraceptives, you're going to get pregnant, you know, or there's a possibility. So all of it is not pointing the finger. I'm saying this to say that these are things that happen, but I'm not pointing the finger just saying you did this, she did this, she did. You know, I took my part in all of it. I got to take my part in all of it. But the main thing out of this video that I want to be relayed, if they ever even see it, I don't know that they will, but I'm hoping and praying that some way or another or whatever, that God will reveal it to them. Not just what I'm saying, but that He'll reveal in their hearts and in their minds that what I'm saying is the truth, as far as loving them and as far as not being ready for them and as far as all of that type of stuff. I can't tell you or tell them what their mother felt at the time. I can't tell them what she feels now. So she did what she thought was right or what she felt like was right, which I felt like wasn't. But hey, that's what she felt like needed to be done. So that's what she did. But it wasn't that I wasn't ready. And it wasn't that I couldn't love them because I didn't love her. I did care for her, but I wasn't in love with her, and I knew that. So, but that has nothing to do with a child, you know, and that's the way that went. And so, like I said, I just prayed. I've prayed ever since they were born that God revealed to them, you know, in their heart of hearts, that it's not that your daddy didn't want you or your daddy didn't want to be around. And I can understand that. You know, you could say whatever you want, but Dad, you didn't show it. Okay, I got to take that one. That's something that I'm going to have to live with for the rest of my life, which will probably never, and it has affected me a lot, but I'm sure it's affecting them way more because they're children. They're not children anymore, but as girl children and not having your father there, well, how does that make you feel? So I can't even imagine, you know. And like I said, my father was there. I'm a boy, and my father was there until he couldn't be. He died, you know. So I couldn't even imagine it. But I've heard stories of how it can mess a child up or mess a person up, you know. But I think I've rambled on long enough, and I hope I've relayed the message that I wanted to, which is not to point fingers at nobody. Not to discredit nobody, not to tear nobody's character up, but just to let those girls know that I loved them. I love them. And I wish I had been there. I wish I had done more to try to be there. Even if it got nasty in court, I should have done that. But at the time, I felt like I don't have no money for that, and I don't have. But guess what? In the end, who lose? Me. Because now I got 2 children, 2 girls, beautiful girls, that were raised by another man, and he did a great job with them. But it wasn't his job to do. It was supposed to be mine. And it wasn't that I didn't want to do it, but it was from stuff that happened and my anger that kept me from doing, and my doubt that I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't afford this and I can't afford that, and why would she do this to me? You know, all of them years I'm pointing the finger and mad and upset and pissed off and saying, okay, I don't have this kind of job, and what kind of dad I'm going to be with no kind of money. You know, children don't worry about no money, man. Children worry about their parents. Children worry about love and acceptance and different stuff like that. So guess what? Like I said, that's my burden I got to deal with. You know, because I failed in that area. And I'll be a man to say that. You know, but I won't lie. In the beginning years, I used to point the finger all the time. How could she do that? And I never called out her name. I never said she this, she that, the other. None of my children's mothers, because they weren't that when I met them, and they weren't that when I wasn't with them. You know what I'm saying? But again, I could have done a lot more, and I didn't for whatever reason. But my main, like I said, my main thing in this whole video is to tell my side of it, to tell what happened from my perspective, and to let my children know that it wasn't because I wasn't ready. It wasn't because I didn't want you guys. It wasn't because I didn't love you guys. It wasn't that. It wasn't because of any of that. You know, it was because you guys were sent away from me, and I didn't do enough to bring you back, or I didn't do enough to find you. You know, so with all of that being said, you know, again, I'm hoping one day you guys see this, and I'm hoping one day, not just from seeing this or from hearing my words about it, but that God, you know, basically take a piece of my heart, or give you an insight on what I really feel about you guys and what I've always felt about you guys. And he can do that. I believe he can do that. I believe he can reassure you of things. My words may not mean a thing, but I believe that God can show you the inside of a person's heart, or the inside of, you know, or the real true meaning of things. And I've prayed ever since you guys were born that he shows you that, and that he calms your heart and your feelings and your mind, because I know that has to be a rough thing to have you, you know, especially the type of father that a lot of people always say, oh, he's so nice, he's so kind. And yes, I am. That's who I am. That's who God made me. You know, I have a heart of compassion. I have a heart for people. My smile is genuine. My love is genuine. That's just who I am. It's not to build me up. It's just who God made me. God gave me that compassion for people. He gave me the heart that I have. He gave me the mind that I have. And I'm not always the best, trust me. I cuss, I fuss, I make noise. I do all kind of stuff I'm not supposed to. But my heart is genuine. My heart is truly genuine, and it is truly who God made me to be for whatever reason he made. And for them to have a father like that they have to hear all of these people saying how nice he is and how good he's been for me and how cool he is and all, and for me not to be that for them, that has to be a whole lot. And I know it has to be. You know, so again, I truly apologize for not doing more to find you guys and not being there for you. You know, And I know a lot of times, again, words don't mean shit most of the time. I'm just going to keep it real. Words ain't shit. Period. Anybody could tell you anything, and half of the time they don't mean shit. But in my heart of hearts, again, I hope God reveals that what I'm saying, I truly mean, and But again, I love you guys. I miss you guys, and I just hope one day God give you peace with it. Not that you have to love me or come around me all the time or feel like I'm the best person in the world, because I don't have to be that. That he just that he gives you peace with it, that you can live with it and know that it wasn't what you thought it was. It wasn't because I wasn't ready. It wasn't because I didn't want you. It wasn't because of any of that. It was because of a lot of my own hang-ups. I didn't have no money. I was depressed. I didn't have this. What kind of father I'm going to be? I don't know where they are. How I'm going to find them? She ain't giving me no information. She ain't got to give you no information, man. Go get you a lawyer. Go. I ain't got no money. It don't matter. If it's that serious, you should push, and I didn't. So, again, I take full responsibility for that. But out of all of this, out of everything that comes out of this, my main thing is that God revealed to you that I truly do love you. I've always loved you. And I didn't want to be away from you. But I just didn't do what I was supposed to do as a man. So, again, I love you guys. I miss you guys. And one love.